Yeah.
So what have you been doing, man? Like, are you still being chased around by like crazy people? They're different crazy people now, right?
I don't even know which set of crazy people. Were you here for like the I'm Dark by Mr. Girl in Lav, or
That was the last arc I was in.
Okay,
yeah. Then I was losing track because I had that problem of trying to find you on the different platforms.
Yeah, I think actually stuff recently has been like pretty chill. Now I'm on like the fighting all the red pillars arc, and that's been going pretty well. So
that's a good one. That's a good one. I like that arc. That's you're fighting from what angle?
Not being emotionally retarded.
So like, are you hitting back at like the practices that they have? That we're talking about, like these people that like look at like high value males or something. That those people like the.
Yeah, I mean, I think all their takes on like relationship stuff is like really stupid. I don't think they understand women. I don't think their advice is good for dating. Like just everything. Yeah, the data is bad. Like the arguments are bad. Like yeah.
It's weird how I think about the type of men. There's somebody close to me in my like family who's a younger guy, like think 14, 15, and he's getting into that.
Oh,
and I'm trying to think of like what drives a person to do that rather than to like focus on their personal health or their finances and just like actually elevate themselves. Like, is it easier to learn these like pickup lines and tactics or something? Like I don't understand what the
yeah, that's why like
the lead generation is.
For the old like pickup artist stuff, I saw some longevity in that. Well, I mean, I guess that's stupid to say because it's dead. But the red pill stuff, I think, is going to die because none of it is going to work. Like the people that are following red pill are not like picking up women or doing anything good with their lives, you know, like
right.
Yeah. So I think that's going to be the biggest reason why it'll fall off eventually, because like nobody goes from like watching a red pill podcast and being an incel to like now I'm juggling 3 high value women at once or something. It's just not happening.
Even I would argue, even if they are, they're miserable because they don't have like consistent relationships with people that actually care about them. Everything is like really surface level and is either being driven by like some kind of income they have or something like that. And it's like the one thing that's really powerful about red pill is that the failure seems to reinforce incel belief, right? Like if you go out and you get rejected, you pull some stupid creepy line because you're like a weird bastard that you think is off YouTube, and then you reject it, then like that reinforces all these, well, it's got to be the women, it's the society that's changed, you know what I mean? Like that might be why it has like some kind of survivability.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, actually, I think that's actually true of all cults and all like manipulation and mindfuckery. That somehow it does a really good job. Like this is really true of people in abusive relationships. Is the abuser always does a really good job to make sure that anytime the abuse victim feels bad, they're finding a way to blame themselves. And that's like a really important part, because basically no matter what happens, if they're successful, it's because of the manipulator that they've guided them. And if they're unsuccessful, well, it's their own fault and they need to follow the manipulator even harder. It becomes really hard for the person in their mind to audit, like, well, hold on, are they telling me something wrong? Because usually the people that are in the manipulator position have enough of the markers of what you think is success to always be like a role model for you, right? Well, he's got all the cars, he's got all the money, he's got all the women, like, fuck, like I have to follow him. Like he's definitely better than me in every way. Like how could I think he's wrong, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's weird that they don't go back. There's such a lack of introspectiveness where people just like don't go back and are like, oh, like maybe if I went to the gym a little bit more, or like worked on my personal confidence and like didn't try to outwardly manifest this through relationships or something, I would be a little bit better off. Like that thought never occurs to these people.
Yeah.
It doesn't even occur to the leaders, like the people that are like running this thing.
Well, the leaders will never. The leaders are making bank, right? That's like, have you heard of like Amway?
Who's that? No.
Multi-level marketing company, or New Vision, or Mary Kay. I think it's
or like doTERRA, those ones. Yeah.
Those are really good companies for the people that are selling the self-help stuff.
yeah.
So they're not going to change. They're not going to learn anything different, right? Yeah. There's a lot of money to be made in like selling like courses and shit online. I didn't realize like there's like a disgusting amount of money that people are making just like selling any kind of self-help course.
Bro, I have avoided doing that for so long because I'm in that niche, you know?
Yeah.
And I could really easily make a course about like marketing, like how to make money online. I thought about that so much, and I have so many friends that are like pulling in like $300,000, $400,000 a launch, no problem, just off of pay-per-click, like AdWords. But ultimately, I just like can't rationalize it. I just think there's something. I remember Tony Robbins had who's like one of the most biggest like self-improvement guys of all time. He had a stat where he said that less than 10% of the people that bought his courses, which are like thousands of dollars, like they're pretty high, actually even open them.
Sure.
They literally just go, they buy it, they spend 2K, 3K, whatever, and they just leave it on the table. And I think the other problem is that as you go through content creation, you get steadily more jaded, or at least I do, because like nobody cares anyway. Like everyone's still going to call me a snake oil salesman or whatever. Like the criticism doesn't matter. So eventually you're just like, fuck it, I'm just going to bleed all these people, and like then you just that's how everybody turns into the Sith.
That's always my argument for like women or whatever who are like, should I do OnlyFans? Should I not do OnlyFans? Blah blah blah. I feel like if I was in that position, I'd be like, listen, everybody's going to call you a slut and say you did it anyway, so fuck it. Who the fuck cares? You know, like I would do it. That was my argument in you remember Rust, right?
Yeah.
When people would get mad at like, oh, like you're rolling with like 40 people deep and blah blah. And it's like, yeah, well, I'm a streamer. Like people are gonna stream snipe me. They're gonna ghost me. They're gonna fuck with me with gangs of like 20 people anyway. If I'm gonna get all the downsides of being a streamer, I might as well capitalize on the upside. So fuck it. Yeah, I will.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, did you see that Piers Morgan clip where he's talking to this girl about OnlyFans and like basically criticizing? It's like, you're gonna have a kid one day. Like, what are you gonna think about it? And she's like, oh, she can cry in the back of my Lamborghini.
Sure. Yeah.
It's that kind of shit. But to some extent, like I do think, and I've been thinking about this a lot in the context of streaming platforms, that like if no one takes up the arms to have some kind of value system, then we're probably completely fucked. Because if it's not like the people that are running these larger communities that decide to like convey some importance on morals, what do we do?
No, I agree. Yeah. The answer that I just gave you, that was like my nihilist answer from like 2 years ago. But the reality is you should conduct yourself in the best way possible. There are always going to be some people that shit on you, but they're going to be the minority. Don't let them overrule the positive example that you're setting for everybody else, right? Yeah.
Right. You have that importance on your morals, and that's like some of the things that you do. Like you actually like canvas for things you believe in, or like set up those events and that kind of thing. Yeah. And the biggest way to tell that someone isn't doing that is just to like look at their actions versus what they're saying.
Yeah. You want to name something? No, I'm just kidding. No. What do you think about like all the Kick Twitch stuff?
Oh, in regards to what? It's a big topic.
True. Do you think Kick?
Like which part?
Do you think Kick is going to survive long term?
I think that it survives as long as Eddie wants it to survive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it's a really interesting thing because they really aren't trying to compete on I think everybody looks at it like, well, okay, well, like Twitch is like Kick needs to become like Twitch. Like they need to implement large amounts of advertisements, or they need to take higher percentages from subs, but they don't really understand the business model.
What do you think is the eventual path to monetization for Kick?
I don't think they need to monetize. They have 2.3% of their total audience that's hitting their page, converting to stake users, and the lifetime value of a stake user is over $400. So it's like...
Do you think that if the site continues to grow and draw more mainstream people, that those... I would expect to see that those numbers would probably... The conversion will probably decrease quite a bit.
I don't... So there's... Kick is making a lot of interesting choices to make that... So everyone's like everyone pays attention to things like, let's look at the last change that Kick made, right? Like where you can now toggle off gambling streams, right? But the only people that would toggle that off are probably outside of the convertible demographic for people that would go to gambling. And it's in the subtle decisions that Kick is making, such as like platforming like people like Aiden or Train as equity level spokespeople for the website, that is actually driving that level of conversion. And I think people should understand that when we're talking about 2.3 to 2.7% conversion, that is that 2 to 3 people that hit
there's no way that number is true. I can't believe that.
I mean, both Eddie and XQC showed like pretty reliable data on that.
That's an insane conversion.
I mean, like if I were putting up those results for my marketing campaigns, like I would be getting messaged by people that like, how are you doing that? Like, yeah. But when you think about it in the context of like, okay, if I'm a dedicated user to these people and I know, like, and trust them, and I mean, converting into those users can almost be done. There's a lot of like really advanced marketing shit going on here, because converting those users can almost be done automatically without calls to action. And even if you are taking the appearance of actively like encouraging people to like not gamble and say those things, the very way that influencer marketing like translates can like allow that to happen. It's a real complex thing.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that like, because the first wave of people that got drafted to this site were essentially like Gamba streamers and Gamba audiences, so that's why I feel like that conversion number is going to fall significantly. I mean, even if it fell to like 0.5%, that's still obviously really good. But yeah, I guess I'm curious how much that would maintain, I guess.
Yeah, so I think that a couple of things that Eddie has been saying are really true. Like, number one is that it's just not as expensive to run a CDN, like a content delivery network, for like what we would think of as like encoding or building like actual live streaming technology, as it once was. Like, a lot of the cost of building that went into R&D that Twitch had to do, and later Amazon's acquisition of Twitch was predominantly for that technology, right? It was to acquire that CDN in order to make that IVS, which is the product that they then sell to Kick, right? Like, for them to run it. But the funny result of that is that IVS is actually like a more effective business model to build a streaming platform on, because all of that work has been done for you.
Yeah.
So now if you run really lean, like your costs are actually, and your overhead is like way less than a really sophisticated company like Twitch, which just has like a lot more to worry about.
Yeah. That's like, that was my thought, basically, is that like if your goal is IVS has been built, the CDN is taken care of, Twitch has what, like 1,900 employees now or something. If you can run Twitch, essentially what they do, but with like 100 employees, like, is it possible that that's your basically path to success? You don't have to worry about any of the data, any of that bullshit or whatever. You run it as lean as possible. Usually your biggest expense is related to wages anyway. Like, is that like an actual path to viability? But I still think that unless they're literally planning on only funding it with stake, I still feel like at some point they need to introduce advertisements or something else to the platform to start making money.
Well, so the couple things here. So Twitch has a lot of extraneous expenses beyond wages that don't make sense, like whether it be like their trust and safety team and their moderation is basically entirely manual, and it's all done through like internal teams that they have to pay San Francisco wages to.
Yeah,
but Eddie lives in fucking...
I don't know if anybody else on the internet is running moderation manually anymore. Is there any large company that does it?
Facebook.
Really? Damn. Okay.
Yeah. YouTube's managed to do it mostly automated. I couldn't even tell you on Twitter. It's such a shit show. I don't even know anymore.
Yeah.
Reddit is volunteer police force, so that's covered. What else is there? Instagram is a version of Facebook. Yeah. So but yeah, like that. The problem is, like, at least Facebook is outsourcing all of that to like third world, but Twitch is paying San Francisco salaries for those people.
True.
And that's just a huge cost. So I think that, like, even if you just drop all that stuff, I actually think you can get Kick close to the point where, like, Eddie and these guys, they're so wealthy, right? Like, they're unspeakably wealthy. Like, they may be able to self-fund for years before they ever run into this problem. They have so much money, they can probably keep it running almost indefinitely if they run the business lean.
Sure. I mean, I've got enough money to probably feed like 2 or 3 homeless guys outside of my house forever. That doesn't mean I'm going to do it, right? Like, so I'm sure they could theoretically support Kick for however long. I think Eddie guy might be a billionaire, so they could do it. But I mean, I think he is. They probably don't want to bleed money forever. I'm sure they want some path towards monetization or something, right? Or
if that's the case, then you can't you're in trouble, because you can't change the subscription shit, because that's really what's pushing you above Twitch.
That's never going to change. Yeah.
And you've promised not to.
Yeah, you can't do that.
And then you also can't change like the donate, all that like baked in shit, like the splits. So now you have to do advertising. Now where does that bring you? Back to me. Sure. Right? Like and I just think that Kick is so far from
being advertiser ready.
Yeah, man. And I mean, like, any advertisers, and they'll be like, well, have a couple of advertisers interested. I know it's not true. There's no significant advertiser willing to drop. And then, like, okay, like, here's the thing, right? Even if they were gonna do it, like, let's say, okay, sure, like, I'm ready. I'm ready to spend right now. I'll throw $500,000 on the website. Fuck it. How? right? Like, there's no system in place. There's no like white glove service. There's no, I don't know what I'm getting. There's no deliverables. There's no, I just physically can't spend the money. Like never, like, fuck the brand risk stuff. I physically can't spend the money.
Yeah.
It's not possible because like it doesn't, like when I go do a media buy for Twitch, they're like, you get front page and you get to run these like ads and these ads appear on stream. That system doesn't exist and isn't built into IVS natively. So they would have to build that from the ground up. And the smartest way to do that, if Eddie is wise, is to partner with an ad network, right?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, that wouldn't surprise me. They bought IVS, right? Like if other people are already doing it on their own, why in-house it when you could just contract it out to somebody else, right?
Yeah, so like an ad network is really smart because do you know about ad networks at all?
When you say ad network, are you referring to something like Google AdSense or?
No.
What do you mean?
Well, yes, but like Google AdSense is the biggest ad network,
yeah.
But there are others that are independently owned and they essentially just control running ads on.
Yeah, when you say ad network to me, what comes to mind in my eyes is I'm basically going to program like video slots or website slots on my site where ads can be filled, and then I'm going to give you complete and total access to all of that in exchange for some cut of the money, basically.
Okay, so I it's a little. I'm thinking a little bit differently.
Okay.
Like an ad network would be a single company that owns the contracts to a collection of high traffic websites and then serves ads to those, and they and when that single company has a built-in infrastructure to do that. So what they would do is they would add kick.com to that list, and then they would run the ads from their brands against it. Does that make sense?
Okay, sure, yeah.
Yeah, so the best thing that Kick could do is partner with one of those ad networks that would just add them on, and that has the secondary benefit of adding authenticity to Kick immediately because they're part of that ad network. So all the brands say, well, we can advertise there. So now we go back to the whole problem of like, well, how do you actually like get that authenticity, because I don't think it's possible right now with the brand risks that are on the platform. I don't think we're even close. And like, I don't. The thing is, like, if you look at the terms of service for Kick, it's basically a copy and paste of Twitch, but they don't enforce it. So I don't know if that's out of a lack of wanting to, or if it's like what you said, where they're just trying to maximize UA and they think they can get away with it.
Yeah.
But I think it's a spooky line. I think it's a really like. It's going to be close because you really can get written off by advertisers, like for sure, for permanently. And then like it's kind of over. Like you sort of just have to like. But how much has Eddie really like talked about his plan being to like integrate advertising into website? I guess a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'd have to check. I don't even know. I think he's done 1 or 2 shows where they've talked about stuff like this. Yeah.
Are you still on Rumble?
No.
What happened?
I killed that contract.
You killed it.
Yeah, because honestly, it was juggling my fans around all 3 platforms was becoming a lot. Probably not good.
It's a shit show.
The compensation was significantly lower. And then the like the required stream times were getting very dicey because like I'm starting to travel and everything so much, and the fact that they require like a certain number of streams or whatever was just a little bit too much. Yeah, no ill will towards them. I think their platform is really good. I don't have any ill will towards them. So yeah, but
so are you only with Kick and YouTube now?
With Kick essentially, yeah, and then I'm allowed to dual stream on YouTube as I stream on Kick. Yeah.
Oh, you are.
Yes, but with the stipulation that
you...
I killed the embeds on my website. So you have to watch from either the Kick website or YouTube right now. There are no embeds on my site or my DGG chat on my stream for 1 year.
For a year?
Yeah.
I'm so juiced. This is an interesting situation. Doesn't that... Maybe it doesn't... Okay, so maybe... Does that matter? Because you're basically getting the same split from Kick from your subscribers as you are from DGG, huh? Well, because after transaction fees, isn't it almost the same at 95.5?
I probably get a little bit more from my website. I mean, when I'm thinking of like subscribers, I'm not thinking of money from one side to the other. It's other incentives that are compensating me for that, obviously. But
do you think you're losing subscribers on your Destiny.gg website as a result of? Does that chat become less prominent?
I mean, almost certainly it will.
Yeah.
So the goal, obviously, over the years is to find other value adds on the site to minimize potential audience losses there, right? Because I don't want to, after a year, like my chat is just like dead. That would be really sad.
Look at Co-Carnage's one. I think he's one of the best people to do it. He has a similar thing. I think it's coalition.com. And he has a ton of incentives, a lot of bacons to the stream, and a lot of forum stuff. It's 100% worth looking into, like make an account.
Yeah, but the limitations are going to be I can't display anything from DGG on my stream either. That's another stipulation. So, like chat's not on screen or anything.
Oh my god.
So we got.
Okay. What about on-stream notifications?
So yeah, like donos and stuff will come through and stuff. Yeah, but
yeah. So there you go. So you can do everything. Like most of the coalition stuff is like the ability to he has a really interesting system on donating games where you can actually donate a game on Steam into like a pool and then it goes out for giveaway.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I'm sure there's things I'm gonna do, but like I obviously my goal is to perform the functions of my contract in as good faith possible. So my goal is to drive like authentic traffic to the Kick website, have people engaging with the chat there. Like that's why it's the chat that I read when I stream and everything. Like yeah, because the issue that we ran into before basically is that like my chat experience is very good and it's very easy for me to convert people over to my chat website. But it's for Kick, I think they want to drive right UA. They don't want just like people watching an embed and then doing all of the community stuff on another stream because it basically means there's no engagement with their website whatsoever. And then when I stop streaming, nobody's like flowing over to any other streams or anything. So yeah.
Yeah, they want literal signups. Which makes tons of sense.
Yeah.
And they're probably gonna get it through because okay, so how are you displaying? Let's say you're multi-streaming right now. Are you multi-streaming right now? You're on Kick also?
Yeah, Kick and
okay.
YouTube, yeah.
So if you are multi-streaming, how are you doing any kinds of like? Do you have contractual as much as you can talk about? Do you have like deliverables where you have to like call people to Kick or like say you're streaming on Kick every once in a while?
I don't think they're like very specifically spelled out, but like obviously I need to engage with the Kick chat and everything. I can't just ignore them and just like read another chat. But I like a lot of stuff seems to be, I don't want to say like gentlemen's agreements, but like obviously they're looking for like a good faith attempt to engage with the Kick platform and to drive people there as much as possible. So like theoretically, like let's say that we're a month in and they're like, you've signed up like 5 new accounts, like Eddie might tell me like, hey, listen, can you do like CTAs or something to like drive something? Like that might be a thing, but that's not there yet. So yeah, we're just
got it. Okay, so your relationship is actually that direct, where it's like you could just talk to Eddie and like it's like that bespoke.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it seems to be the case so far. Yeah.
Damn.
What's up? What's up, Devin? Long time no see.
Shit. Hi. What's up, Dan? Nice to see you, man.
Finally, a conversation I have something to offer to. Can I add a few points in here? Actually, I should put this to Steve. Steve, how real can we be? Because I understand that we are a Kick consumer here, but
can be as real. There's nothing in my the only thing in my contract is I have to spend at least 30 minutes a month shitting on Pokemon and Asan, and I have to spend at least 15 minutes a month supporting an argument that Train is making based on whatever makes on LSF. But other than that, you're free to talk about whatever you want.
So a few things here. So, man, where do I start? First off, a concurrent viewer is a concurrent viewer. And anyone who doesn't count it as a concurrent viewer, they know what they're doing it, and they're doing it on purpose. That's it. There is this, I hold on to it for 30 seconds. No.
Yeah, hold on. What you just said is technologically, that's not true. They're not doing...
What do you mean?
They're not
people that are getting a video feed. Like, I'm not getting a video feed 10 seconds in the past.
I would bet any dollar amount of all the money that I own that there's not a single website that's doing a 1-second check every single time. The session probably has a timer, or there's probably like every 5 minutes it'll do a check for who's got a video feed, but I don't know of anyone that literally updates live every second. I'm sure that like there's probably an industry standard of like 1 to 2 minutes is how long you hold on to a viewer or something. That'd be my guess. I'd be almost certain.
For the purpose of advertising, there isn't. Yeah.
So first off, that's not true. You might re-get that number every 1 minute or 2 minutes because it would be aggressive to get it every second. But when you do the check, how many people are watching now? You're not saying how many people were watching over the last minute. You're saying how many people are currently grabbing the feed. Okay, let's get that number. We're going to hold on to it for a minute. And anyone who asks what the current number is, that's where we're going to go. That's what it is. It's not an intensive query to say how many people are currently watching this. And it seems sus. Okay, that's all I'm going to say.
Do you think so? Like, if a viewer is lagging or something, does that person just not get counted as a viewer because they're not currently receiving like TCP, IP, UDP stuff like doesn't time out after 1 second, right?
What I'm saying is your live view count that you're going to have in general might be cached for a minute. Basically, that's what your view count was a minute ago or 10 seconds ago or 30 seconds ago. But at that second, that's what it was. That's basically what your view count was.
I could be wrong, because I admit I don't know all the underlying technology, but my understanding is that like for internet timeouts and stuff, it's never going to be instantaneous. There's going to be like maybe on the lower side like 30 to 60 seconds, but like if a person is lagging or something, I don't think like, oh, we're not counting as a view count. Like there's probably going to be some timeout, assuming they haven't like actually closed the session or exited the browser window or something. That'd be my guess. But
okay, so even allowing some grace there, I feel like we're very far away on what's reality here. So let me say some things I think shouldn't be too controversial. The kick experience sucks. That's the first one I'm gonna do. It just sucks, and I think in general that if content creators, big ones, weren't getting paid, no one would be on it. The only people who'd be on Kick would be essentially people that are banned off of YouTube and Twitch. That's what Kick is. It's kind of like Rumble. If you're not a Nazi, you go to Kick or something like that. That's the way I look at it, and I got to be honest, it's a little bit telling. The user list is hidden from Kick, and then there's like a way you can see how many people are currently there by typing @ and then not doing anything. Like out of the quote unquote like 7,000 people currently watching you on Kick, there's 92 people logged into a Kick account. Like, do these guys?
Is that true?
Is there that many?
Holy
do they
shit,
really
that's
like?
Insane.
Is that like? Do they really like the Kick experience so much, but also won't create an account?
Yeah, but you also, to be clear, you also have to compare this to Twitch as well. Like, if you go into a chat room with 20,000 live viewers, it's maybe what, like 100 people chatting. You don't have thousands of chatters and anything.
Yeah, but the number
right?
of logged in users is closer to 70 to 80%. That's actually really crazy. That
yeah, I'm not saying chatting. I'm just
sure.
saying even there. So like, a big thing is, I mean, a lot of this could be so much easier if I'm doing this off the thing. If you go into Kick and you just type @ and nothing else, the @ symbol, and this is apparently everyone that is in the chat right now, and you can scroll through, and it's about 100 people right now.
Sure.
They don't have the user list thing on the right, and I wonder if that's quite intentional, because obviously they have the data. Because I mean, that's a pretty obvious way to see if these are real users or not. I think starting off with this strategy, I don't know. I feel like when I talked to you about kind of your initial, like, you're talking about the deal and everything, I wonder how long this deal will last. And I think what Devin said is true. It's going to last as long as this Eddie guy wants it to do. And that's really all there is to it. Because it's crazy, right? This is just fucking nuts shit.
Dan, can I build on that real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah, real quick. I also want to say that I'm going to say something really controversial here. But I have a lot of anecdotal evidence for it, not objective evidence, so it's anecdotal. But just from I'll say it's about half a dozen messages that I've gotten from content creators at a low level that are having payment problems with Kick. In that, I think that a lot of these prominent deals that are being signed, such as like Aiden or your deal, Destiny, are going to be paid out, have no problems whatsoever. But I wonder, and again, I can't, maybe the majority of content creators are getting paid on time, and everything is fine. But when there has been some, or maybe these are growing pains, all kinds of things. I'm not trying to make any accusations here, because like I really am not. But I'm not sure that Kick is as secure of a platform for like the vast majority of content creators that are going to be using it from a payment perspective or from a support perspective. And that could be by virtue of a lot of things, but that seems to be apparent to me right now.
I think there needs to be good competition for Twitch. Absolutely. YouTube, for whatever reason, seems just completely against the idea of having some sort of live streaming portal that actually makes sense. Like, I think I've said this years ago, YouTube has the ability to fucking destroy Twitch just because the fact that, like, a lot of people default to Twitch, in my opinion, for two reasons. Number one is Twitch Prime, right? I think if you're small, that's something that you can't overlook. A lot of people can give you money for free. That's the first one. And then the second one is they're like, oh, I can get discovery, and people can find me from this, and I can get views, and that's why I'm on here and not Facebook Gaming or YouTube. But the thing is, YouTube has at its disposal that anyone who's going there to watch a fucking cat video can now be recommended to see Devin's live streaming right now about cats, and just blow away the fucking discovery that Twitch could ever offer to you. And then at that point, the only thing that Twitch can really offer you is Twitch Prime.
One huge issue that people don't seem to be aware of is there are significantly different buckets of viewers that might never overlap. People that watch YouTube videos are not generally people that watch YouTube streams. People that watch TikTok or YouTube Shorts are not people that watch YouTube long-form videos. The conversion from one type of viewer to another is absolutely fucking abysmal to almost non-existent. So I don't think it's quite as easy as you think to convert somebody that's on the YouTube platform for videos to remain on the YouTube platform for live streams.
They fucked that up. They need to make
no,
that
I don't
better.
think. No. It's not that they fucked it up. It's that the behavior of a viewer is just dramatically different. It's just it's a consumer behavior. I don't know.
But if you look at the number of users you have available, we're talking 200 users per every one on Twitch. That might make up for that conversion problem.
Potentially, but look at like I said, look at people like PewDiePie. This guy streamed and got what was it, 20,000 viewers? And this guy is a YouTuber with what, like over 50 million subscribers? Like, even if his viewership was relatively high for the world that he was in, the numbers are actually pretty sad given how popular of a person he was, right? Or look at like how there's a red pill channel we fight a lot with called Just Pearly Things. This is a channel that's built over 1.5 million views, or I'm sorry, 1.5 million subs, but they mostly built it off of YouTube Shorts. Some of her long form content gets like 5 to 10,000 views per video on a 1.5 million sub channel, and these are new subs too. It's not an old dead channel.
So do you feel like that person is doing consistent calls to action and properly
yes, they try really hard to convert, yeah. But the issue is just that like a shorts viewer is just so much different than a video viewer, which is so much different than like a go ahead.
Yeah, we initially they call it experimental budget in marketing. So let's say that a company, I think our deal average right now is like 1.3 million. So out of that, usually about 5 to 10%, so call it like 100,000 to 300K, will be experimental, where we can kind of throw it at anything we want. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so a lot of brands were initially interested in TikToks. This is about a year ago. And we started throwing a lot of money at TikTok and trying to see, because these conversions work, the way that these conversions would work in advertising would work exactly the same to go into a live stream, right? It's just a call to action to get someone to do something. So we were trying to throw a ton of money at short form to try to see if it converted. And simultaneously, Night Media, is the guys that run Mr. Beast, a bunch of these other big guys, they're a TA, but they're still doing the same thing. Mm-hmm. We're running a shit ton of money, and both of us came to the conclusion that it's complete dog shit. We're like, for whatever, even with good calls to action, we're just not seeing any kind of conversion off of shorts to this day.
Sure. I mean, look at like all these people on TikTok that have like millions or 1 million plus subs, and these people aren't very wealthy. Like it is almost meaningless to have I feel like, might be a stretch, but I feel like 1 million subs on TikTok is probably worth 50 to 100,000 subs on YouTube. Maybe less.
Yeah,
maybe less.
That.
Yeah.
Yeah. I put no stock into number of subscribers on TikTok. I just don't care. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Of followers. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I totally agree. So there's an important jump though. I do think that conversion problem exists for short form to long form content, but I don't know if it exists for like long form to streaming. I think that a lot of times, like in the PewDiePie example, a lot better CTAs or a better marketing funnel could have solved a lot of problems around that.
Maybe. I don't know. I've never seen an example of it working. It seems like fundamentally people like the ability to go on and like watch a video whenever you want in the background and blah, blah, blah. It's a lot different than a person who will sit in a chat forever. Like,
Let me give you one immediately.
Well, go for it.
Moist Critical.
What about it?
Huge YouTuber only. Moved into live streaming and consistently pulls like 12 to 14K viewers on Twitch every day.
Is that impressive though?
Yeah.
Doesn't he have like 6 million subs on YouTube, or is it 10 million?
So what makes it impressive is the case study was Moist Critical did a lot of the things that would make a Twitch streamer be successful. He did consistent calls to action in his videos that he was live streaming, especially when he started, and then he started broadcasting every day. A lot of times when you get these YouTubers that try to move over, they might do like a one stream every once in a while, and they don't have any kind of consistent schedule. Like the rules of physics still apply that you have to be a successful broadcaster, right? Like,
yeah, but like I wonder if but it seems like, did he actually manage to convert from his YouTube audience, or is he just like a decent streamer that converted? Because like, so I just checked his channel, so he has 13.2 million subs. If he's got 10 to 15,000 views on his live stream, is that a good conversion? Is he converting a lot of those YouTube viewers to stream viewers? That's a really, really low pull rate from that channel.
I think you could look at well, okay, so let's look at this in reverse, and maybe we can like suss this out. Look at the number of people that have built their Twitch audience off of their YouTube videos. So they start, including yourself, right? So like you started posting more. There was a period of time where you were hovering like 2 to 3 concurrents consistently, and you weren't really updating YouTube. Then you got your editor, you got your shit together, and like you got those videos coming out. And now I think your concurrents are set way higher, right? Like on average. And that also happened to people like Ludwig.
I understand what you're saying. Ludwig is one person that I think made the jump well. I think that my streaming audience has only grown as I've streamed more and done the work on streaming. I don't actually think my YouTube popularity, I would say that my popularity in the real world, unironically, has probably in the last like 2 years, has like 5 or 10x'd than what it was before. I was in Malibu
and you don't,
like
you
a
don't
week
attribute
ago.
that to YouTube?
No, I do, but it doesn't translate to streamer growth, right? Like I can walk around like almost anywhere in the United States now and have like multiple, like somebody will recognize me, stop me, ask me for a picture, and somebody else will see it happening and then stop me and ask me for a picture. Like this happens like on almost a daily basis, yeah. But none of that is like followed over my stream audience, right? Like right now I've got like maybe 10,000 viewers, which is nice, but like I had 10,
you have
15,000.
10K right now?
Yeah.
So you have to understand that puts you, like, if we look at like Moist Critical, to your point, your first point was there is a certain type of audience that consumes that type of content, right? So a lot of those conversions are just going to fall off by virtue of the fact that it's like, okay, viewing content in live format, in long form, I just don't have time for. I work a lot, whatever the reasons are. It's a very niche audience that can actually participate in live streaming in the first place.
Yeah.
But like, if you got to realize, like, I didn't understand you were that high. That's actually insane. Like you are one of the top broadcasters in the world, unequivocally.
Yeah, duh.
Yeah. So you're converting that audience better than almost anybody is, and so is Charlie. And I cannot believe that you don't attribute that. Like,
yeah,
to
I guess
your
it's
YouTube
just
growth.
weird what we mean by like converting an audience. Like, let's say for instance, let's say like Snoop Dogg streams and gets like 10,000 viewers. Is he doing a really good job at converting his audience to live streaming? Because I feel like that would be really bad.
But Snoop Dogg didn't do that. He appeared on Twitch for some weird activations, and I think did a couple of live streams, got like 400 people. There's been examples of like really prominent celebrities.
Yeah, there's just like two worlds. You're viewing the conversion as good if you're successful in the world that you enter. I'm viewing the conversion as good if you're able to pull from your other world. I guess that's the difference. Like if a YouTuber,
what I'm saying is,
like if a YouTuber started streaming and he had 50,000 live viewers, but he had 5 billion subs on YouTube, I would say, oof, that conversion is really bad. That's what I would think.
What I'm saying is that it is dependent on the practices that person implements, and because most of these content creators are kind of dog shit at business, they end up not doing the proper calls to action. They end up not like driving the conversions that they should. But whenever you get someone that does do that, like a Ludwig or yourself or Moist Critical, that understands those marketing principles, they soar in terms of converting their audience. So Dan, I understand your position on YouTube, but what is your kind of take on Kick? I still want to like understand that better because I think you have like a cool on this.
I think it's not good enough as is, and
what does good enough mean?
The experience is not good enough. It's not a good experience. It doesn't feel good. That's kind of a little bit hard for me to quantify, but like I don't enjoy using that website. I would much prefer to be on Twitch or YouTube watching a stream. I like the features that those services have better. I think that it has a better, maybe a video playback.
Hold on. I hard disagree. I think Twitch's is still better, but I think Kicks is better than YouTube's at this point. Not to shit on YouTube, but I don't think you've ever used YouTube chat before you're saying that. Not to shit on YouTube chat, but
I'm not talking about chat. I'm talking about the video player, for instance, right now. Like, there's no
but for
DVR.
people that are sure. But for people that are participating in like chat community experience, which is probably a big part of the live stream experience, I think YouTube is just doesn't give a fuck at all about that.
Oh no, the YouTube chat eats shit. But I'm, but I think that for most people, probably chatting is secondary to watching the content and being able to go back. I don't know, of the people that you have that are watching you live right now, what percentage of them would you say are actively chatting? It's probably 10% or less, right?
It'd probably be like 2 or 3% would be my guess.
Oh, yeah. So, like, the most important part is the quality of delivering video and the feature set that goes with that. And I feel like that's pretty poor on Kick. And
video delivery wouldn't it be similar to Twitch?
You'd think so. I'd hope so. But
is it
it
not?
isn't.
Why?
No.
What do you mean?
I don't know. I feel like it. Especially on mobile, the experience is really poor.
Well, mobile,
like,
sure, but now you're not talking about video. You're talking about like their app or
well,
their mobile app is really bad right now, apparently.
Okay, I don't know. I feel like it has more to improve, but I think about how can Kick make it. I mean, it really just, I guess at the end, it just comes down to how much money they can make off gambling shit, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
that's
all there is to it. I mean, you'll never, in my opinion, you'll never see the day where, they just made this big post, hey, if you want to turn off pools and gambling, you can do it from your settings. Yeah, show me the day when you turn that off for all guests. And then they have to opt in.
I just commented on this too, yeah.
Yeah, that'll never fucking happen. So that was just like bullshit to try and, placate the media or something along those lines. Like, if this is truly based on, I mean, it seems like Kick was born or not, essentially because they saw how much money they were making off of people gambling on Twitch, and then Twitch was like, "Oh, we're getting rid of that," and they're like, "Hold on, a lot of money's okay. We gotta find a way so these people can keep streaming." This is a huge thing, and that it's like, I wonder at a certain point they say, you know what? This is fucking way too expensive spending money on Destiny. We're not converting enough. We'll have a site and people want to stream to gambling can do it. And then we'll do some like intermittent promotions to like hopefully get Zoomers on here that turn to gambling addicts or something. I don't know. The sad part is it's not like a VC funded thing. You don't know if they'll still be here in a year. It's literally at the whims of, does it continue to make money for, essentially stake, I guess.
Well, how is that? I mean, like, that's the same with VC funding as well, right? Like, VC funding.
Well, no. VC funding is the opposite of that. VC funding is, here's a blank check, just build the biggest company with the most users that you possibly can, and keep making the experience better and growing and growing. Not like, hey, in 2 months I didn't make enough, so we're just, it's just gambling.
Well, but at
only
some
now.
point, VC funders are going to be like, if we're not seeing a profit or if there's something happen, like, we're pulling the plug on this. Like, VC funding isn't forever, right?
I mean, well, there's a lot of companies that have never been profitable, and they've gone from VC funded from A to fucking D round, then go public, and they're still not profitable to this day. But
yeah,
yes,
but you're talking about companies like Twitter and Amazon and Facebook, many of these which are profitable now. But like, you're not talking about like random streaming websites or whatever. Sure, if you're growing your user base up to past like 500 million or a billion users, you can do that. But in the norm, any VC funded project eventually is going to have to become profitable, right? After you've had enough user acquisition, the VC funding isn't just going to last forever.
I mean, the direction, the push to profitability really comes pre-IPO. That's like, you can go through like 4 or 5 rounds of funding before you get to that point. And you're talking probably at least 4 or 5 years until you get to that
look
point.
at like the whole LCS and league scene. Isn't that like basically the plug is basically being pulled on that entire thing?
Well, the LCS was intended to be a marketing arm for Riot, so the idea was that it would sell more skins and get more people engaged with the game.
Yeah,
but
it hasn't, and now it's completely dead, I think, right? Aren't they?
Oh God, it's just that I won't get into like a huge, long, boring thing about it, but it's just that
Fuck, I need to grab food real quick. Give me 1 sec, okay? You can talk to down there. Hold on.
Yeah, the harassment, the amount of harassment that Riot has to go through to
you can stop right. I don't care about League. I don't even know fucking anything about it. So how's everything else been?
Brother, we're doing really well. What about with you? I miss you, man. Like in these conversations, it's awesome that you dropped by actually.
Oh yeah, not fucking red pill. Like who's got the biggest penis and how can you? I don't even know what the conversation is. I have to like get up to date with it. But yeah, no, it's how did that one thing get so fucking big? It's all anyone talks about these fucking days. It's very strange.
Red pilling?
All that stuff, yes.
Yeah, I'm also not in. I just asked Destiny that question, and I mean like. I don't know. Like I actually was like, maybe this is just like a Destiny community problem. But then like I interacted with like some young kids that were like completely on that on that train, and I'm like, oh shit, this is like a whole thing. So I don't know, man. Like I wish I did. It seems like it's kind of a shit show.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's fucking it's crazy. And if you notice, it seems like everything is crashing around at the same time. Like it's kind of funny, like Twitter putting rate limits on shit, Reddit getting rid of like all the apps I used. I used Apollo and crashing like fucking.
I use Reddit as fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. I feel like is it all this Elon's fault? Like did he like show the way and all these other companies like, oh yeah, let's do that. That sounds good.
I think that Elon proved that you could drop your total employee count by like 50 to 70% and like run a bare bones service and then increase user engagement. And then a lot of CEOs were like, oh shit, okay, I can give that a shot. But that said, I do also think that like, and I know you are going to probably hard agree with this. Like, I do also think that we're entering an era where companies are getting smarter and realizing that there were a lot of PMs and middle managers and people that were getting way overpaid to do absolutely jack shit. And like I think that that's also reflecting in like those people going away, and some of the people that actually did the real work are getting caught in the crossfire, and that might be why we're seeing like a drop in quality.
One thing I didn't look into this too much, but I've heard stories or read stories, I should say, that Twitter is like stopping paying a lot of shit, like contracts they have, like tech contracts, they just stop paying. Apparently, they stopped paying entirely for their San Francisco office, like. How does that work? Twitter is a company that has assets. Aren't these people literally just going to sue Twitter and be like, hey, you now owe us $1 billion or whatever it is, and that's pretty cut and dry, isn't it? Like, what is the strategy behind not paying these bills like this for a company that isn't close to bankruptcy? Like, I understand if you're like on bankruptcy, that's what you do, right? Like, if you're Bed Bath and Beyond or something, you know, I'm not paying anyone. Like, fuck it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can fight over the fucking 6 trash bags and, you know, throw pillows that are left, and that's it. But like, this is Twitter. There's still assets there, you know.
There is,
it
but
possible
I wonder.
Could you force a renegotiation or something rather than
Yeah,
go
or
the
you could
whole
like
court
hold
process?
that in litigation for so long it doesn't become profitable. I think there's got to be some way that, or they're just not thinking about it. Like, man, like I don't like really know what Elon's plan for Twitter ultimately is. Like, I think he believes that he can make it profitable, but
Is there do you know if is there a live stat of how many people are subscribed to Twitter Blue? Like, is anyone aggregating that number from like kind of public?
Well, maybe
data?
if you pay $500,000 a month for Twitter's API, they'll give it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, they shut down that was really annoying. They shut down their API. We were one of the companies affected by that because we were using it to pull results from our campaigns. Now we have to fucking do it manually.
It's interesting to me, like when Twitter, for instance, like just the real estate thing, like, hey, we're not going to pay the lease in our San Francisco office anymore. Like, if you're the owner of that office space, you just say, oh, okay, I'll sue you for the entirety of the lease that you have remainder, and you're on the hook for that lease. It's not like, oh, well, I might have to pay 1 or 2. Like, you are on the hook. That's what a lease is. Like, you promise to pay for the duration of that lease. I just don't see what he has to gain stopping paying that. Like, it just, I would hold that if I was a landlord. But I guess if you're down bad and you need the money now, maybe. But I don't see that being the case with someone who's going to own one of those massive San Francisco buildings down there.
Well, aren't those guys getting crushed under like occupancy rates, and like don't they have like a lot of problems they have to worry about? Like maybe there's so many people that are pulling out of those contracts. Or like,
you know what I read is speaking of that, there's a pretty somewhat famous hotel in San Francisco. I think it's called Park 55, PARC, and the people who owned it basically had 50% equity in it, and the other half was like a bank loan, right?
Okay.
And they just gave it up. They're like, fuck it. And they just gave
Holy
it to the
shit.
fucking bank. Imagine giving up like $400 million just because you can't do anything. Like, that's mental to me. They literally just
That's
said,
crazy.
"Here, I'm not making mortgage payments on it. Here you go. Good luck." Just like that. Fucking nuts, dude.
It's these work from homers. We got to get them back in the office.
Absolutely, I agree. Your time is over. Done. Man, dude, office space right now. I feel like if I had a lot more money to spend, I would seriously consider doing that, because right now the deals are mental that you can get for buying office building. It's not a joke, right?
Yeah, but do you really think are we really going back?
Yeah, that's my question. I
don't know. I don't know. It's like a huge. It's
we
like
are
the Warren
going back
Buffett
to
thing.
San Francisco. I think that's a failed project. That shit is a shit show. Oh my god! And that's where a lot of this office space is. Like, yeah, I don't know if we're coming back.
I don't know. There's a lot of people who say, I'm never going back to work again. Well, I mean, you'll have to if there's no work at home jobs.
Oh, that's
or
true.
Like,
Twitter.
Like, it's not your call.
Twitter didn't
What?
pay Google on hosting.
What's that? You cut out?
Your mic's breaking up completely.
No.
Yeah, you're roboting.
It's not. You're lying. Twitter.
Okay.
Twitter didn't pay Google either, and they got like their hosting shit got fucked as well, right?
That was another thing I read, that the reason that we had this rate limit shit the other day is apparently
They didn't pay their
Twitter's Google Cloud bill was due on the 1st of July, and they just didn't do it. So I was like, all right, well, I guess we're gonna have to try to run this shit on a fucking GeoCities account. All right, everyone gets 1 page view a day. Do not overload it. Oh man, the real estate thing is super interesting. It's a huge gamble. Like an office building that would have cost, let's say, $100 million in 2015 in San Francisco, right now is like a $20 million building, right? It's not easy to convert these into residential, which would be the natural thing to do, right? Because just the plumbing's not there. You're spending a huge amount of money trying to do that type of stuff. So, like, that's not an option. So you really have to pray for work in the office coming back. And I don't know how much of it will or not. It's a huge gamble. So yeah, but I mean, there's a lot of money to make. If it does come back and you buy this shit, you're 5xing your money in a few years. And if it doesn't,
Yeah,
the
it'll probably be
question is,
another
how much lower
bailout
does it go?
anyway. Fuck it, right?
Yeah. Oh
I
man.
think, I think it has to become clear to companies if it really is more effective to work remotely or vice versa or not. And the jury's pretty much still out on that. There's been a couple of studies that were done that actually showed throughout the first year of the pandemic that people became more productive. But fuck, man, I can't reason with that. I can't figure that out. Like, I don't know why that would be true.
There's also the question of how many jobs can be work from home, right? I mean, not all of them, obviously. Most of them can't. Most of them are going to be in some either manual, I don't want to say manual labor, but there's a lot of jobs that's just not like, oh, I can do this from a computer. It's like you're out there fixing a fucking car or, slinging burgers or whatever the fuck it is. Like, these are not going to be work from home jobs ever. But as far as office space thing, I don't know. It all is going to come down to trend from employers. There's a billion people in chat right now. They're saying, I will never go back into the fucking office, so help me God. And the simple answer is you will. If you can't find a decent paying job that lets you be working from home, then you will. Or you'll just be homeless, I guess. Like that, it's not your choice. What you're saying is, I very much want to work from home. And I feel
but it'll depend on like if talented devs and shit are like, I'm working from home and I'm just not going to work for your company if you want me to come to the office. It might be forcing people back to the office is a losing move, right?
I mean, who's going to play? Who's going to be chicken first on that? I don't know. That's an unknown thing. I feel like there's too much power imbalance there, and the companies are going to win.
It might be maybe chat's referring to something different because I've read a lot about this, which like this feeling of like I just am not going to participate in this service based, like to get these like you said, burger slinging type jobs, that maybe people just like feel like they just are not going to participate in that, and that's like the whole our anti-work movement and everything like that, where like people just don't want, and we're seeing that across like shit, man. Like look at like airlines, right? Like look at like airports and stuff like that. Like nobody wants to be a traffic controller, nobody wants to be a gate agent, stuff like that. Like there's so many service-based industries that are struggling to hire. You know what I think about every fucking day is like, how is it that anybody can afford anything? I literally think about this every fucking day. Every day. Like, inflation has gone up so fucking much, rent is so high, food is so high, credit card debt is at an all-time high, and nobody's fucking working.
No, wait.
How's this?
You're getting the cart before the horse a little bit. Everybody's working. That's the issue right now. Unemployment is very, 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 very low. We just don't have enough people to work all the jobs. That's why there's so many openings.
So there's like, wait, we physically just don't have the humans?
Yes.
Shit, really? That's the problem?
Yeah, this is what everybody's been talking about for 10 years about, like the baby boomers finally retiring, and COVID was probably the push for it. We just don't have enough people to work with it. Our unemployment is like 3.2%. It's like absurdly low. But we just don't have the human capital right now to work the jobs as the older people all start to age
So
out.
it's not that people don't want service jobs, it's that we just literally don't have enough people to work them?
Yeah.
Wow, I never knew this.
It's also partially why I think we're not seeing interest rates having the effect that they hoped that they would by raising them for the bank. It's just there's a threshold, right? Like so when to be broad about this is very, very broad. It's like 4-year-old style. Interest rates I'm talking about here is essentially what percentage would a bank spend to borrow money from the government, right? Mm-hmm. Essentially, that's what we're talking about. And it's not having the effect because at the end of the day, even if that amount is fucking 6,000%, right? Which would be ridiculous. But even if that number was really high, at the end of the day, Devin, I'll loan you money for fucking 20% a year. You know what I mean? Like there's just enough of a private money at work here that it's just not going to be able to have that much of a dent no matter how high it goes. It certainly is pushing things up.
What do you mean?
So
private money, the higher interest rates go, the less attractive private money becomes. That's the whole point of raising interest rates, is slowing down velocity of money in an economy, no? Like if the Fed is going to offer me a 10%
there's a
bond,
certain no, so what I'm saying to you is that there's a certain amount that I would loan you money from myself to, right? So right now, for instance, the prime rate, I think it's pretty high. It's like 8.5, no, 6.5, no, 8.5 right now is the Wall Street Journal prime rate. Let's say that went to
really? Holy shit.
Yeah, it is really high right now, 8.5 on the prime rate. Let's say that went to like 50%, right? Obviously, that would be ludicrous, right? No one's doing that. But if it did, do you think that every bank would be offering mortgages at that as a rate?
Yeah, you have to, right?
No, you don't have to. That's what the bank would pay if they wanted to borrow money from the government. But
well, I mean, like they're not going to offer. They do prime plus one or whatever, right? They're not going to offer for lower than that, no?
Why wouldn't they? That's a competitive thing. that's competitive for them to be able to do that.
Wait,
for me
why
as a
would
person,
I loan you money at like 10% when I could just buy a treasury bond for 15%?
well, that's if the treasury bonds go through it, right?
Well, no, wait. Hold on. One of us has a fundamental misunderstanding, and it might be me. If the treasury right now, if interest rates are set to 0%, and like the treasury, by the time it gets to people or whatever, a bank can loan out money at like very, very cheap. We'll say like 3% for mortgages or whatever, right? If I'm loaning out money, I'm loaning it out for a very low rate because of how low interest rates are at the Federal Reserve.
So
right?
you're tying in the selling of bonds with the mortgage rate essentially that they do.
Yeah, well, because that's how mortgage rates are kind of determined, right? It's like prime rate plus.
Well, I mean, they're similar products, but not the same product. But
I didn't say they're the same, but it's prime plus is usually because the bank borrows the money.
This is riveting conversation. Yeah. But does pertinence mean fucking nothing to you, Steven?
Yeah, it's where's Q at? He's not here yet, so
he's right now. He's there.
He just showed up. There. Yeah. Anyway, real quick, I'm sorry.
No,
at the Federal Reserve. What?
No, it's fine. I want to watch
keep
Kip
doing
and Keek.
this.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, if the Federal Reserve raises rates to like 50%, right? Why would anybody lend me any money? Let's say somebody needs $100,000. Why would I lend that to somebody at like 10% when I could take the $100,000, go buy treasury bonds, 5, 10, 30, whatever the fuck you
yeah, I mean, no, you wouldn't. If you can buy the treasury bonds, right? So the rate that the banks get to borrow, you don't get to borrow those. That's different. You can't get that rate. Okay, that's a specific feature that the bank has.
Hold on, wait, am I retarded? Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait. I thought when Federal Reserve rates increase, I thought everybody around the world has access to U.S. Treasury bonds.
We're not talking about bonds. We're talking about the rate that banks can borrow money from the government,
and then the rate they choose to issue.
I thought isn't Federal Reserve rate, isn't that tied into the the?
It might be based on it in like a rising fucking sea raises all ships type of thing, but they are different things. At least I think they are. I could be wrong on that, but I don't think that's the case. Like the rate right now for instance, the rate to borrow money from banks is certainly not what I'm getting a fucking mortgage rate for. That I can tell you.
Wait, okay, can you hear me? Hello?
Hi?
Okay, sorry. Yeah. My monitor's not playing. No. This is how I understand it. I could be totally wrong, okay? Oh, fuck me. I hope Rage Pro isn't listening to me. There's something called the federal funds rate, which is the rate that the U.S. Treasury will loan money out. This is like the default, the lowest rate that you can borrow money or get money basically from the Treasury, okay? That federal funds rate, let's say it's 1%. If the federal funds rate is 1%, you're never getting a mortgage less than that because banks are borrowing at least that. Then they add a little bit on top of that for interest, and then that's what they loan that money out. However, whatever that federal funds rate is, that's what like treasury bonds are going to be based on as well. So if I go to the federal government, I want to buy some treasury bonds or whatever, it's going to be also based off that federal funds rate. All of it is based on the interest rate at which the Federal Reserve is set for monetary policy, essentially. So that's all based on the same number. So if the federal funds rate increases like 50% or whatever, then mortgages are going to be 55%. But you could also go and buy a treasury bond and get like a 50% return. That's the whole point of raising interest rates on treasury bonds, is that it decreases other investments in the economy to like cool down the economy, to slow it down. That was one of the reasons why one of the big drivers for the housing crisis, one of the big issues for the housing crisis is the federal funds rate for the United States was so fucking low, and the return was so low that people were looking for other places to store their money, because the U.S. historically, like having a federal funds rate so low is like, why the fuck would I buy T-bonds? I'm getting nothing for it. I need other safe investments. That was my understanding. I could be wrong at all.
Okay, well, I mean, if that's the case, then if they were able to decouple those things to a certain extent, that would be what I'm talking about. Truth be told, we would need like a rage pub here to picture it out. But I think fundamentally what I'm saying to you is that if an option isn't there where I can't buy a bond from the government, like for instance, like I-bonds right now were paying really higher. They were. I don't know if they still are, but they were extremely limited. Okay. Right? You could only buy like $7,500 a year of them or something.
This is the last point, and then we'll move to the show, okay? Wes, I love you. Okay, go ahead now.
I don't want to leave with me being retarded and wrong. So can we just go back to saying Kick sucks and YouTube's better?
You came being retarded and wrong, Daniel.
Oh!
Yeah, well. All right, Wes. Thanks.
Good to see you, Dan.
Okay, moving on.
Oh, so you have a show or something, Steven?
Yeah, it starts in 6 minutes ago, so.
Okay, cool. Yeah, dude, thank you for having me.
Yep,
and
I love you.
I appreciate you, man. I'll come back and talk at some point later.
Later, chat.
Bye.